Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Super Journey Dudes podcast. As you know, the Pink City Twitch channel, post episode 22. Wowee, that episode, even it's like an in betweener. Honestly, it's technically like a shopping episode, but man, that episode had rage. That episode had range. Any initial
there
thoughts?
was a lot.
Shopping episode with the two like crazy scenes at least in there. How did no shopping episode I've ever seen has had that much in it?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't be ridiculous.
It's technically a shopping. Like it's an episode where you guys are getting things together for like the next big like acts, I guess. But like a very integral episode, I would say, because a lot of fucking important shit happens. I mean, first of all, fucking Mike Birdie. We had talked about upgrading that mech for like a couple of weeks prior to this episode and trying to figure out how that looks. What was your inspo behind the new fucking mech and all that weird stuff?
The whole idea with Whiskers and like familiars and like the psycho slugs and everything is just so mashed up. It's been so long now, but basically like Venom and like the symbiote idea. And like the whole idea with Whiskers is that he's a familiar, but he's like what's it called? Oh my god, Pact of the Chain from D&D 5e, Pact of the Chain. So you can always communicate, no matter even if you're anywhere, as long as you're on the same plane. And so that just taking it as far as you can go. You introduce the Psycho Slugs. I was like, okay, actually, Whiskers would like to have a partner back in his head again, because he's lived his whole life with two minds and he's only had one mind for this whole entire campaign. So when he had the Psycho Slug in his head, he felt whole again. And so just playing around with that idea, everyone else was getting their mechs upgraded. I was like, man, I want to get an upgraded mech too, and I want to do something cool.
Yeah, what about like the visually, like the weird, like crazy, like light dragon tentacle thing? I mean, shout out to D-Friend for the incredible art.
Yeah, so that inspiration was just basically like a big slug, and I knew D-Friend was gonna do the art, and I know he likes his flowy dragons and like
his wisps.
Yeah, and just I wanted to play the Enkidu mech, and just like looking at how the mech works and how like aggressive it is and how it just doesn't care if it's attacking an ally or an enemy. So it would just be like completely chaotic and just obviously flavoring everything as tentacles. And yeah, it was so long ago.
Yeah, it was a long ago. It was a while ago since we recorded, but I would say like since episode like 7 or 8, which was the 1 or 9 or something, since we were first introduced to the Psycho Slug, I think that idea of it, like it was honestly just supposed to be like a tool to do the flashback thing, and it was supposed to be like a one and done thing, but you guys really latched on to that.
Loved it,
you used it a couple of times, like in the campaign, like you kept going back to it, and so it became a more important part of this campaign, and just the idea of Psycho Slug. So then obviously like thinking about that, and then Mike like having that connection with it in Whisker's head the first time, like it just made sense that could be a direction where Whiskers would go, right? Like to find that feeling again of being synced with another mind. So like like what, 10 episodes later, we finally made it happen, and like it's very cool how that all worked out.
Yes. Also, Attack on Titan. Obviously, I did say in the episode, but Attack on Titan also a big influence, because Attack on Titan is basically flesh mechs.
Yeah, fun fact.
I do love the flesh.
They are flesh mech.
Yeah.
Well, that's a spoiler alert.
Ultraman is a flesh mech.
True.
No, I
never thought of that, huh?
Is he inside?
Oh, true.
Because there's a human person that's combined with an alien.
Oh, so, I thought they just like grew or something.
No.
Oh, I don't know Ultraman more. Like
Ultraman's an alien, and then he like combines with a human person. So technically, it's like a giant organic mech. Cool. Or Evangelion, that's organic. Angels.
Yeah, Evangelion's clearly mecha. Yeah. Fun fact though, the injection music when you were first injected with it, and then also when you interacted with it when you got into the mech, was the same music that I used when Whisk and Whiskers interacted for the first time, but reversed.
Whoa!
I reversed it.
That's
I was like, how would this sound? And then I added a thing that Brendan made that had like a weird like alien sound.
That's pretty
but I was like, if this sounds cool, I'm gonna like weave it into the soundtrack.
No way.
Yeah, just because it's the same idea, right? You linking with something, but in like a twisted way. So if you listen closely, it's like it's like the same song but backwards. So that's a little fun fact for you guys.
Very cool.
Mike,
immediately gonna replay
it. Yeah. Mike, quick question for you. You seem to have, I don't want to take anything from anybody else here, but the most creative mechs. Do you begin with the concept that exists outside of the rules, or do you use the rules to build an amazing concept?
I don't know how to answer that question. I think it's like, I honestly think it's all the above, because like I said,
it's a symbiotic relationship.
Even I think I first got the idea when we had the Psycho Slugs introduced, and I obviously just thinking from the mind of Whiskers, like how he would think about it, and he actually liked it, and I was like, okay, like there's actually something here. And then just thinking about Attack on Titan and thinking about Venom, Carnage, like this symbiote idea, and then realizing that this Enkidu mech could work with that, and then just going all in on that. So I think it is from the world first, and then the mech kind of fits in with that. But I like to be weird. I like to do different
Mike's also
things.
a min-max. So we should really call him min-max Mike for his username. But yeah, he does a lot of studying on like the actual mech making. Like we all run by our mechs by him when we like make them, like just to like, because he can like tweak them and polish them. So the creativity of the actual like mech gameplay is just from like the multitude of knowledge that Mike has. And then based on that, I guess the character.
And I'll even say like Amy's mech with the tentacles is based on a Blackbeard, which is using the tentacles to grapple, and just like that imagery, and then with the fist too is like really
a lot of tentacles in this campaign, man.
I know.
You're talking to a guy who likes Mind Flayer shit too, so I'm all about it. I'm all about the tentacles. Very dope. On to more lighter things. Love the Bugaki and Umbra dynamic.
Oh my god.
I was dying.
So cringe.
The whole
Beyond
time.
cringe.
I was like, please stop.
Yeah. It's
so
like
literally us
funny
during the moment.
It's funny
so
throughout,
cringy.
but it's like funny at first, but then like it becomes painful. Like
it just kept going.
It's so good that it becomes painful because it's kind of makes it realer. Because if it was just a bit and we kind of played it to its comfort, but I feel like that's the beauty of Alex sometimes, is that he will take something and he will like consistently nail it with Bugaki, and he'll just be persistent. He'll just hit the one note a couple of times, and you'll like give him something to play off of, and he'll be like, oh yeah. Wow,
I love it. It's
love
so
it
good
because it loops the whole dialogue.
So cringe. Like I was thinking, I don't know why, but I was just like, yeah, Bugaki would just have no game. Like Bugaki,
of course,
he should just like, because it just didn't feel right. An alien dating a human, you know what I mean? A 2-foot bug
Alex couldn't roleplay it.
Space is your oyster. That's the fun thing about space.
We've never done all the romance we've done in our campaigns. Has been like it's been like widows. Like everyone's lost in love. No one's.
Am I the only one that fucks? My character did a lot.
But you haven't really done like role playing romance and like
on screen.
I think that's the first time any of us has really role played romance on Super Journey dudes, at least, because we tend to stay away from that stuff. But I think it's funny to do it, but do it.
It's really playful.
Deep Red did it.
Yeah, I was just feeling like, Bugaki would just be that. It would just be funny if Bugaki just had no game at all, and he just like he had this potential amazing date, and he just fucks it up.
even like
we're
the
dating
that
now,
one
and
rolls was perfect
Yeah, I
too.
named a star after you.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
The word dating now part, like when he just said it,
We're
he hit it with
dating now,
the
right? Yeah.
we're
Oh
dating.
my god.
Oh, this is a date. We're dating now.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, why do you say it like
Yeah,
that?
that's,
Why do you
God.
say it like that?
So, yeah, it gives me the ick.
The worst thing you could say.
But honestly,
Series of horrible things in a
it
row.
checks out for all of your characters, honestly, to also be like, yeah, you're doing great, Bugatti. Because, like, as we learned today, and as the title says, you guys, we discovered that you're all virgins.
Totally
today.
Hilarious.
Not something I had
It
thought
became a
about at
thought.
all until this episode happened, and we were all like, yeah, you know what? That's true. That's so true.
I heard it was like,
Freaking
well, my character is totally different. Like day one, like she was already macking it to everyone in the prison.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
And then
You
like
reference
she
it.
already like what's his face?
Lisa Phillips?
Yeah,
Risen him?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's that moment.
Like, that's my boy. She's definitely like just flirted her way into his heart and then took him with her. Like she like fell for him. And the funny thing is, she was like, even though she wasn't interested in Bugaki, she was throwing like, well, I'm horny, I'm out of prison, might as well. And she was just throwing hints at Bugaki, giving him weed and shit. And he's just like,
I didn't catch that.
Oh, I didn't catch that either.
Yeah, Amy, you're
I was
playing with
thinking
dudes.
a little bit.
Dudes never catch that shit.
Okay.
A little bit of it.
For all the ladies out there, hints do not work with men. You have
but
to
that's
be
the
direct.
fun part. That's the funny thing. Like, why be there? Like, I just
Well, you
did it on
were
purpose.
like. You were more. You would get annoyed at Bugaki more.
No,
and
but
pay
it's
more
that
attention to
playful
Bugaki
annoyance.
too.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, now I see it.
You
The
know how like
playfulness.
someone
We
like
all did.
bullies you.
We
that
all did the
likes you?
stupid stuff.
Yeah, you know how like when someone like bullies you because they kind of like they're interested in you, so they kind of say mean things to you.
It all makes sense now.
And focus only on you though, but also give you gifts.
That way everyone's mean
She was
to
on
me?
some tsundere shit with Bugaki.
I've often been told that I do not pick up on shit like that, and clearly,
no guy.
What guy does?
One guy that picks up on signals.
I don't know.
Masochist. No, I
got low grip.
You ain't seen nothing.
Also, I
That's
think
hilarious.
another thing that's funny is I think we talked about in the lore of Bugaki, the Byzantites. I don't know if we said this, but there. I think we were talking about one. There was like one queen, and like they're like
an ant colony,
and then the men bugs like fertilize them or something.
Hey, this is news to me, man.
What?
This is news so Bugaki's mom is everyone's mom.
I might have vaguely mentioned this. I don't know if this is lore.
That's
but,
why.
Hey,
this
if
sounds
you
like
want
it
to make
was
it
a deep
canon, you can
thought,
make
but I
it so right now. We have yet to.
We haven't
like,
written too much of it, so who knows?
It's funny because Bugaki was like, I don't know what sex is. Like he has no idea.
I really wonder
only
where
his
all
mom
the
knows.
dog and cock and all those jokes come from then with Bugaki.
It's
spent so much time on the internet, man.
For like,
I think it's more of a respect
it's such like
thing,
a dude
right?
who learned.
Yeah,
It's like
it's like having all those words without knowing what they mean, and they thinking they mean something else. Like
definitely feels like learned behavior.
Also, in your culture, those terms like don't mean anything sexual. That's like the comedy of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the phallic objects is like a sign of respect. Like the names like Bugaki and horny like don't mean anything, and they're confused when people
He even wore his
incited
shirt.
by
I
those
just remember
words.
that. I remember I wore his shirt. I didn't
Oh, that's
I
pretty
was
big.
topless,
That's another one.
literally
That's-
topless in front of him and took his shirt to wear.
Okay, that's pretty big
Damn.
actually.
Damn. Bugaki with the riz.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Bugaki.
Speaking of Bugaki and his relationships, it's nice to see Mikey and Bugaki patching up things. Really nice scene between you two. I find that every time you guys have like a conversation, especially now, like post 10 minutes or less, They're all really nice conversations to gauge like where your headspaces are at, because it's slowly like moving back to a more like stable place, I feel, or just like a different place. And each conversation that you guys have with each other, like it's nice to have that play out.
The thing I love about those conversations is it's never planned. It's like one of us, it always starts with one of us like, I'm gonna go and knock on Mikey's door.
I can kind of always tell though, like the intent. I don't know. Alex kind of puts it out there, and I kind of tell what he's coming at me with.
It's never intended. All right, so Bugaki knocks on Mikey's door.
No, but it's like it's funny because like I feel like I kind of do like porcupine method for Mikey. It's like my go-to thing where I try to harm the closest. So like with me and Bugaki being closer, there was like a good couple episodes, especially while I was doing that stuff in the interrogation room, where I was just handling him and I was like slapping him, I was disrespecting him, I was talking over him, all of this stuff, right? So I feel like I even lost sight a lot of like my own interactions with Bugaki. So like this moment was like a moment to kind of be sweet again. And I feel like it was good because even just the setting of being in our mech. And I don't know if people have seen this show, but I don't know why. Every time I think of people hanging out in a hangar in their mech, I think of Eureka 7. And it's funny because Eureka 7's it's a romance anime. So I'm just picturing like Renton and Eureka sitting in their mech, like just talking it out and like, but like in the same way that like in this scenario, Renton is Bugaki and I am the kind of cold robot dude who's not that interested sometimes. But I don't know, this episode was definitely, I think, more, we kind of buried the hatchet, I feel like, more so.
Yeah, it seemed like it. I said this in the chat, but another fun fact with the music, Mikey has like a Mikey backstory music that like plays every time he kind of gets into like an emotional scene or something.
I saw that.
And there's several different versions that Kevin MacLeod has made, like the royalty-free music that we use. There's like a sax one, a piano one, and a trumpet one, and I've used them interchangeably depending on the context. So this one I think was sax or trumpet, and it just like it depends on the vibe, depends on like who it is. It's solely for those purposes, and I love one of my favorite tracks. Honestly, it's the coolest.
The sax transition always gets me.
Yeah, the sax fucking. I mean. This started
as
really
like the music play.
Yeah, show inspired by Cowboy Bebop. So like anything that has like swanky trumpets and jazz and saxophone,
watching
that stuff.
Mwah. Watching your editing in after, like with Bugaki knocking, and I was doing like because I was having fun with the headset thing the first time we did it.
That was so fun. Yeah. So you get the rift.
when I took the headset off then, and then the music was playing more openly for everyone.
That was sick. Yeah.
It was so cool because it also showed in the moment.
That was
and then I was like just even in the conversation, I could tell I was kind of distracted still, like I wasn't. And then it kind of plays into the music's level with our sound, and it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, I was just saying that track, that like space rock track, I've been wanting to use for a while now, but it's not intense enough for a battle sequence, and it just didn't fit anywhere. So when Mikey straight up was like, perfect. I'm listening to space rock, I was like, yes, this is where I can put it in, and then it actually works out perfectly. But yeah, Megas, what were you saying?
That was one of my questions. Was did Sappy give that to you as music for him? Answered. And then second one is, how is it watching the show kind of produced, if that makes sense? Like you hear all the work that Chris has put in, and you're watching yourselves effectively go through a memory, but with
didn't happen. Yeah, it feels like I'm watching somebody edit something I remember doing, but like cleaning up the edges and like putting in sound effects and things. It's very weird. Because like when we have these conversations, even with Whiskers' transformation, it was like way more fantastical in the moment. But then when you listen back, it's kind of not dreadful, but again, it was like eerie.
Kinda
It was
scary,
a lot more
yeah.
intense.
Some
Yeah, but
suspense
in the
to
moment
it.
we're just like we're like, oh, Whisker's getting a level up kind of thing. Like, but Augie consistently reminding us to be careful and like watch out on top of like the eerie music really set the tone on being like, oh shit, like this like could have like heavy plot connotation. And like I didn't think about that really at all. I was just like, yo, this is a sick upgrade. But like now I'm like, fuck, like there's layers to it that you need to think about.
I am curious. Yeah, it must be a different experience for you guys because you guys don't know what I'm doing with all this stuff, but like all the music, the sound effects, the special effects must add to the experience.
Well, yeah. Well,
I look forward to it every time.
It makes such a difference, I think.
Because Whisker's surgery, like you were having like a crescendo in the music, like it was building up. Like that was not what I was experiencing in the moment. Like I was just because I obviously knew what was gonna happen. We talked about it, and I was just like role playing it. But like watching it back, I was like, holy shit! Like I can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah. It's definitely a cool feeling. I'm really it makes this whole episode though, even the music and the ranges of it, it's making me anticipate more and more what's about like everything.
I think there's like every episode like for the past like couple and like from now on, like there's like just this air of like brooding intenseness that's like we're moving towards some crazy shit.
Yeah.
The music definitely the earlier, and I'll say like just from like behind the scenes, I'm not even realizing this, but thinking about it now, but like the earlier episodes, a lot of like jazzy music, a lot of swanky stuff, but then like as the later episodes go on, like there's a lot more like creepy stuff, suspenseful stuff, just like or like sad stuff. Like I'm going a lot more into orchestral stuff. Yeah. Which is what I was doing for Rainbow Valley kind of throughout because it's more of a fantasy world. But yeah, slowly like expanding that soundscape a little bit as
it really like makes the world feel a lot more again like unknown for us when we watch it back. It just feels like, oh fuck, there's something even bigger than what we're talking about happening at hand right now. Because like this orchestra music is going on during Bugaki's conversation with Willy Tuga, and Willy Tuga's layering in the structures of things, and we're just listening to like Halo music.
Halo music.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Chris, the music has always been good and suitable and everything, but I feel like, as the episodes are going on, I feel like the music is getting better, but maybe just because like the stakes keep getting higher.
Scenes are getting better.
And the scenes are getting so intense, and we're moving into such unknown territory.
Yeah. Another fun reveal that you guys, I think, had thought about a little bit, but never really confirmed. But Kane putting the Psycho Slugs in the package to, do some stuff to the Archon's moon colony. That's something you learned today. I didn't realize you guys would be so obsessive about it, but I did that because one, to introduce the Psycho Slugs, but two, also like I think based on conversations with D-Fran, like the Archon's moon stuff, like was a little like, what are they doing up there? So it was more of like, I don't know if you could speak more on that different, but that was more of like Kane just like being a little suspicious of them.
I think the audience has no idea what the relevance of the Archons is, so maybe we could talk about that a bit if you want to.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that's like a season 1 thing
from a Rainbow Valley perspective.
Yeah, I don't even think we talked about the
Archons too much
in Rainbow Valley.
Because, well, we know that
I think it's good for
they had a giant laser as well that cut something.
Yeah, so they so the Archons is actually like a part of the planet, and they are like
Alex is live editing this, so he doesn't spoil anything.
So he doesn't spoil anything. The gears turning.
This is where there might be some inconsistencies in the lore now, but
it's fine.
Two people wrote two
work in progress.
If I can connect them, but Archons basically in Rainbow Valley, you got the Earth and the kind of European area was lasered off with like a laser cut, and they kind of have all the water, and it's called the Archons. And actually, I think Nick might have come up with that name. Actually,
Oh shit!
Nick was helping me come up with like the map, and he came up with a couple of names on the Archons. But
hey, Nick lives on forever in this campaign. Rest in peace, brother.
Show 'em away, Galaxy.
Show 'em away, Galaxy.
I've always pictured them to look physically like the Mystic Village in Chrono Trigger.
Nice.
Because there's all that water pouring off, and they're all kind of like there's like knowledge and magics and stuff, and they're all kind of just doing things and learning more, but like it feels kind of vapid in a way.
Well, the laser stuff
on a floating island
that you're just talking about, different. That's different than the cut kashi. Those are separate laser or separate destructive events.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what
some laser events.
The laser from the Archons was after.
Sorry. But the Archons is originally like a very rich mining colony, right? And that's why they're so rich and they have that technology and stuff, right? Like
kind of. I mean,
Alex, we gotta write so much more.
We're building this out as we go.
Whatever happened from this time to the it's like thousands of years.
2,000 years-ish, I think. Yeah.
So like the people that lived on the moon, maybe they moved to the Archons.
Yeah, we don't know.
And then
we don't know.
I just know bits and pieces of information. I'm trying to put them together, whereas you guys have designed like thousands of years of history. So.
Well, yeah, that kind of segues me into the next little thing that I want to talk about. Like, first of all, shout out to Misty Mountain because that's where Wheelie Tuga lives. We wanted to put that in as a tribute to our sponsors, Misty Mountain Gaming. But the whole Wheelie Tuga scene and where he talks about like the sages of time. That's some D-Fred shit.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like me and D-Fred spoke about it, and like we wanted to introduce and connect some lore back to some Rainbow Valley stuff. And so the Sages of Time are like something in reference to the greater scheme of things.
That's cool because they're like the most major point for us at this point for the other season.
But yeah, more on that when we write lore for it. It's just touched upon just to throw it in there. But we can obviously get into it more.
Lore.
But yeah, the Willy Tuga stuff. You guys learning that all of the clauses of the peace treaty, which I tried to tease throughout with Bugaki flashbacks, but we never got quite to it because Bugaki just didn't pay attention to his dad.
Does D-Fran the character actually know them, or you know that he didn't know them and you asked him anyways every time?
I knew D-Fran didn't know them.
So, Chris, you made the Dingleberry chords from the beginning?
No. It was D-Fran's idea to have the Dingleberry chords as a peace treaty, but like as time went on, like we built out like what that was. I think I did have a session with D-Fran being like, what were all the clauses in the treaty? But the Mayflower reveal is something new you guys
I like that a lot.
Didn't realize at first, but it is one of like the finer details.
Pretty seamless
for me as a character. I feel like because I had a lot of like, I feel like we were given a lot of moral high ground or like opportunity for moral high ground, and it helps having that extra piece of information to show like, oh wow, like since Bugaki's error, like what looked like a folly and an error in his judgment, which obviously kind of still was, he even acknowledges it, right? He acknowledges it, which kind of shows that he's grown and acknowledged that was a bad mistake. But he's like, wow, even though I did all that, like they used the Mayflower, like they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. It's basically like Bugaki was like inflating his chest and being like, your ass is grass, New Union, but like. The New Union was the one that essentially dropped a nuke, basically, right? Which is like...
And if you think about Bugaki, he might have not actually been that terrorizing. He might have probably just, like, tried to seize a base. Like, for what we've done in this campaign, like, we barely could blow up, like, a military ship, without having, like, conscience overload. So
I mean, we don't know because Bugaki's fleet was headed toward the New Union, but they didn't actually fire anything before they got zapped out of the sky, so...
Yeah.
That's true.
It really does feel like
but yeah,
it feels like this,
Yeah, it's just a little something that you guys can use to your advantage in like the political landscape, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Bugaki would have done any of that if he actually did memorize the Dingleberry chords?
Yeah, D-Fran, would he have?
Yeah,
Ooh.
Probably.
Well, it created a great moment in
That's
this
good.
episode. So.
Yeah.
Because his
That's
whole
great.
thing is that the Dingleberry Accord never worked, because the new
Yeah.
union is still glassing planets, even though, and also like doing sketchy stuff like building military
Experiments.
bases on neutral planets and stuff like that, which they're gonna, who knows what they're doing with that.
Who knows what they're doing with all that?
Guess we'll find
Guess
out.
we'll find out very soon.
Mhm.
But another fun, a little thing that I loved from the Willy Tuga scene, besides like that was like a big lore drop scene for you guys, was the other throwback to Rainbow Valley, the jade phallic object.
Oh yeah.
The one
Very
that
beautiful.
Dr. Eugene Peachy held on to for so long and kept trying to sell and eventually gave it to Caltrops. That
That's one of my
fucking thing.
favorite
Deservedly.
Appreciated in value.
That's
one of my
Yeah.
favorite scenes in the Rainbow
Oh,
Valley.
yeah.
Is
Yeah,
when,
me too.
Yeah.
Is when Eugene, yeah,
Doc,
when
yeah.
he's like,
Mhm.
he like
He just puts it in
Caltrops has his hand
Basically.
out, and he like for some reason if something goes in,
It's like a
Caltrops'
crab,
hand,
yeah.
he like
Yeah.
can't let go of it.
Like a crab, yeah.
Rip at it.
Get him!
That was so good, yeah.
While he's shaking it in anger.
Different. Now, my question to you: when you were saying that Bugaki was creating a jade phallic object, were you intentionally trying to create the one that years from now was that same one?
No, I had no idea.
Because as soon as you said, I thought that's where you were headed, but then I was kind of like picking up what you were putting down, so I was like, okay, D-Friend, this is what you create. Yeah, and then I made it canon.
D-Friend was making a
I thought
staff.
that's what you
He
were
wanted to
maybe
make a walking stick.
doing. Yeah,
I don't think so.
that's so funny.
I don't
He's just like, I'll make something phallic.
Yeah.
Was the jade phallic object your idea in the first campaign? I forget, D-Friend.
No, that was
me because I had I had so and so dollars in art objects.
He had art objects
as like a starting inventory, and I was just like improving them on the go, and I was like, "There's like a jade phallic thing."
Hold on, I really want to get down to the bottom of the jade phallic object. So two of you in your friend circle just improved a jade phallic object into the campaign. Is there some connected history where some sort of jade or phallic object sort of united you all?
No, I think D-Friend probably just said it because it existed back in the day, but then I was like, no, that's the one.
Yeah, I think Chris came up with it.
Because I was saying that because
D-Friend likes dick jokes.
Always like
Bugaki was always making like dick stuff.
Yeah,
he always makes like a dick object when he's like trying to give someone a gift. Like he did it to someone's grandma, right?
Whisker's grandma.
Yeah, Whisker's grandma.
He gave her like a giant cock.
The Whisker's grandma thing was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, and even like a little bit of improv on my end. Like when you gave it to Willy, I was like, oh, Willy would have a bunch of these because of his dad, and that was a nice little like father like son moment. Because you see Willy has a full cabinet of these fucking bad dragon dildos. Yeah.
Oh man,
good times.
That's perfect.
I looked that up during this stream, by the way, and
we're here to educate.
Yeah, one last thing I wanted to talk about because we are talking for quite a time. That big kind of info reveal drop of Chondria funding both sides of the war, which is kind of huge news to you guys, and a little behind the scenes of like the war. Like, what do you guys think about all that shit? Like, it took you guys a bit to get there. I had to kind of like help lead you guys to that conclusion. I was trying to drop hints, but you guys were like, are they bugged? This is a setup.
Why would they do this?
Yeah.
They're just evil. It's definitely one of those things, but I feel like for Mikey, even just with his family stuff, he doesn't really know, again, a lot of their operations. So anything like to this degree would come to like a surprise to him in a way that he's like taken back by it. he's like, oh shit, that's something I didn't even think of. Like he was so obsessed over the glassing and all this other stuff that he didn't even think of like internal strife and like the flow of that. And even me as a character, like as like a player in the game, I didn't even think of that as a thing. And I'm like, oh, I love like looking into politics and like actual things that regard world scenarios that we're in. And I'm like, that is a constant thing we deal with. But like in this campaign, I'm like, oh god, they're glassing planets. These guys are maniacs. But like, I don't think about like the nuances to like how they gain control, how they manufacture, how they gain their wealth, how they continue all that. And it's like having
honestly
that
not something I ever thought about till this campaign. But Mike says it in the episode where like the money is coming from somewhere, like, and it's got to go somewhere, like at all times, and like, you know, kind of inspired by, you know, real life things. Like, I mean, you know, our world is at war all the time, and like people are funding that shit, and like, you know, people have their ulterior motives, and like, you know, Conjure being like the biggest, you know, company in the galaxy that makes everything, like, who stands to benefit from like all the fucking war going on, and all the people need to spend their money somewhere. So that's kind of where that idea came from.
It's pretty discouraging. Like, even though you have, you know, this rebellion and we're trying to like, you know, save the galaxy and stuff, there's so
you
many,
built
like,
all our characters' stories so deep.
There's
and
forces at play. There's forces at play that are just like way beyond what we can comprehend as players and as people. And just like, if you just think about the state of the world and everything, it's true. Like that factor is there, and you're just touching the surface of that. But just try to extrapolate that to the real world. That is exactly what would be happening in this universe.
Yeah. I mean, how discouraging is it to be fighting this war and then to realize like, oh, we're just a fucking pawn. But where like they want this rebellion to fight because they make money from that.
And what choice do you have? There's no choice. You have to fight still.
And like
if
what do you do in that situation?
If you don't fight, then you double lose. Like what?
Yeah. It's a lose-lose kind of thing.
It's like either stay at the bottom of the train or become the head of the train. But it's like also they even like the thing I loved about Snowpiercer is like the population control aspect of it is like heavy on like selective population control, where they create these riots or they create these injustices against people to make them act, to make them rebel, to cause people like Bugaki to charge at the Mayflower, you know, all these things.
So sinister just thinking about it. I'm like, again, we're just touching like a surface of it in like a fictional environment, but like, don't think about that shit too much in the real world, because I'm like, it's depressing, man.
Just like in the real life, focus on your own character and just do your best. Like,
but we could not be doing a mecha show without addressing that kind of shit, right? But even like with the bomb drop of like Conjure funding a lot of shit, it kind of makes the New Union seem like a smaller entity than it actually is, because even the New Union needs to get money from Conjure. Like, they're just a foreign thing, like a foreign planet that just came into this universe and tried to colonize things with just sheer technology and power. But like, they need resources too.
The analogy is like you have countries fighting each other, but at the end of the day, every country needs to buy weapons, probably from the US or whatever, and it's corporations really that are winning. Always, right?
Money's always the winning factor.
Follow the money. Watching the Wire and the Wire.
And that's Cyberpunk story actually. The corporations end up becoming the main entities.
So in a way, Condria is the real villain here, and I mean, New Union as well. But like, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. Shit gets crazy in the next couple episodes.
Here. I like how you created a common, you know, enemy that we got to take down, the Phazos Empire now, you know what I mean? But also now that makes
happy though.
Now that makes me wonder what happened on Luxopia. You know,
Luxopia,
because I mean, it was a Phazos thing. You know what I mean? Like if the Chondria.
Bezos could be their own pawns in the end of the day. Who knows? You know, they could just be acting on their own like greed. Like the way I see my family as like characters in this whole thing. Like from my perspective, like not even knowing anything that Chris has written for them, I just feel like they are like an entity of like a dying breed of like that like Gatsby class of people who survive on each other, like the nepotism, the idea of like generational wealth in that degree of like holding it as like a power over people underneath you, the way that they have a floating castle in the sky type shit. So I generally feel like at the end of the day, when you really strip them down, their evil is like stuck within their personalities and like their darker, like twisted humanities versus like their actual, like they do gross things, but it's almost like you're watching them lash out for control, and it feels like a smaller picture once we're actually getting into like all of this other stuff.
Well, it is a corporation, but it's like because we know more of the personal side of it because of Mikey. It's the slimy people that control the corporations that are obviously.
Well, I would actually say the contrary, and I forget who put this idea into my head, but a number of years ago, someone told me that when you look at a corporation, it's not actually. So we'll use Amazon for example. Like Jeff Bezos is not actually in control of Amazon. He has to answer to like board of directors, stakeholders, and everything. And who's like actually making the decisions? Because every decision that's made is like a boardroom full of people who are voting on every single thing. So there's not actually one entity who's controlling or who's driving the ship. The whole shit is just like running itself and going where the money is going, and no individual person can control any of it. Yes, maybe there's evil involved, maybe there's bad intentions, maybe there's slimy deals or whatever happening, but at the end of the day, like a corporation is actually its own entity and is just moving on its own.
Well, I guess the best example you could do is watch Succession.
Well done, Mike.
Succession does an amazing job.
I've heard. Yes, I've heard.
It shows an amazing job on that.
I guess the relation for Condre would be like its board of directors would be the whole family, right? Like it's not one person. Like they're all contributing to the movement of this company.
They're like shittier Arrested Development in space,
or shitty Succession. Yeah. If you watch it, you would think Succession more than Arrested Development.
From what I know of Succession, it sounds very Bezos family. Yes.
They're toxic.
Like pretty much Succession is based off of real family.
Oh yeah,
like a real rich family in America that owns so much. So like
a conglomerate.
In Succession world, the family like owns every media outlet. Like so, for example, it would have been like Fox News, NBC, Disney. Like you know what I mean? It's like that. Like they own, and then it gives them so much power to have their hands in so much other elements that branch off of that. Yeah,
crazy.
And I feel like that's the fun thing with the Bezos because they all get up to so much random shit at the end of the day. Like when we get introduced to them, like was the first brother that we fought in Bogogo was known to like basically raid farms on his spare time. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
So we should make an ass, right? Is that what we're doing right now? Is we're making an ass?
An ass?
Alliance of the Seven Stars.
Oh yes, I was like, what? Making it ass?
Is that where it happened?
Nice.
I was waiting for the ass out of
there's
you
a
and
lot
me.
of unfortunately with a mecha, and well, not unfortunately, it's a great story, but like when you do this kind of thing, and your themes are about war and colonialism and stuff, we're gonna tread into this very depressing territory. But we don't know where this story is gonna go. But I will say you're gonna want to tune into the next 2 episodes with Magnus because they are like the 2 craziest episodes of TTRPG that
I have like fever dreams remembering recording them.
Yeah, it is. It also is like the culmination of a lot of elements that we have been touching on. Some story arcs that we've been working towards. Which is maybe why the music is feeling a little tense. But yes, we've been talking a lot today. But there's a lot to talk about. The episodes only are getting wilder. But we will see you back in 2 weeks, whether that's a new episode or a Rage Against the Rift session. To be decided. But until then, over and out. Or sorry.
Over and out. Doing the Maharaga stance real quick.
I don't know what that is, but I'll do the Rift one. Was it this that we did?
Oh yeah, there was something that we did.
All right.
Some Final Fantasy X.
Oh, the Rift one was like, I don't know, it was silent.
All right, see you.
Peace.